Good afternoon. These are going to be the last set of notes for that test on April 2nd. This, in my opinion, is the most complicated of all the notes that the professor gave us for this unit. And it's over quality standards and just the idea of quality in microbiology. And it's kind of confusing because some of the terms seem to just reiterate their definition, but let's just get started. So quality, this is the satisfying expectations of the producer and the consumer. You don't want any variations or defects. There's going to be a commitment to the standards to achieve this uniformity. An example would be the ISO 84021986. More on this later. He added this in a later slide. It's just here as in general. This is the totality of features and characteristics of products that bears the ability to satisfy the stated needs. Okay, so quality assurance, or QA, this is also known as QA. This is how a process is performed / how it's made. This will provide confidence that the quality requirements are being met, and you report it to management internally and then externally to customers, agencies, regulators, and third parties. Quality control, however, is the inspection aspect of management. So quality assurance is how a process is being performed or how a product is made, while quality control is actually the inspection aspect of that. Okay, what is inspection? So this is the process of measuring, examining, as well as testing samples and comparing them to determine consistency. And you need these specific requirements to be met. Again, products, processes are looked at products, processes are looked at to see if the intermediates are up to standard and if everything is correct as well. However, you can't inspect quality you could only verify quality. So you have to actually put some effort into creating the quality itself. By inspecting something, it doesn't mean you've created quality. Okay, total quality management. This is kind of a thinking process or a design method to make sure you are meeting quality. So you must manage it. Processes are the problem, not the people involved. So you have to look at the process. Don't ever blame the people involved. Quality must be measured. That was the first one. I don't know why I wrote it twice. Everyone is a customer and a supplier. That's very important, but there it is. Right here. This one is actually marked. Okay. Problems must be prevented, not just fixed. So if you fix a problem, that's just like a one-time thing. You need to make sure you're preventing it so it doesn't happen again. Quality improvements must be continuous. You can't stop once you've gotten to your idea of the best. You need to keep going. The quality standard is defect-free, so we can't have less defects. We just want to be defect-free. Goals are based on requirements and not negotiated. So you can't negotiate the deadlines and stuff like that. Life cycle costs, not front-end costs. So you're thinking big picture and how much this is going to cost everyone. Not monetarily, but also, health-wise and so forth. Management must be involved and led. And then you need a plan to organize for quality improvement. Okay, we were talking about the ISO up here in the definition of quality. So now this is the slide that the professor has on ISO specifically. This is International Organization for Standardization. This is a traditional approach to quality control via comparing against standards. And this is a worldwide federation of national standards bodies. The mission is to promote development of standardization related activities in the world, and as well as to facilitate the international exchange of goods and services. It's required by many retailers and customers to have this ISO certification. let's talk about GMP. This is good manufacturing processes. It's also known as current good manufacturing processes in other fields, such as in foods, I believe. Yeah, in the US, it's known as current good manufacturing processes. So what do these involve? So these are federal regulations in the food, beverages, and cosmetics industry, as well as pharma, dietary, and medicine. So you're going to be looking at the grounds of where the manufacturing is happening, the sanitary status, processes, controls, and the personnel themselves. So the plants and the grounds where the manufacturing is happening, you need to make sure it's free from breeding places for pests, and you also need to worry about the drainage to prevent contamination. Okay, equipment and utensils. Are they cleanable? And is the equipment designed to prevent contamination with lubricants? You don't want the oil or whatever you're using on the pipes to leak into your product. And that's what that second point is about. Sanitary facilities. So this is, again, are water temperatures adequate? Is the hot water that you're going to be using hot enough? And are sewage facilities going to be adequate as well for sanitary? Okay, sanitary operations is the facility kept clean and in good repair, and again, this idea of being free of pests. So difference between facilities and operations. Facility seems to be talking about the control of anything, gross, so like sewage or water temperatures, and then sanitary operations, it's like the facility itself, our processing areas free of pests. Processes and controls is the overall plant sanitation specifically assigned to an individual. So is someone in charge of making sure everything is clean, and are the ingredients stored correctly? Personnel. Are sick workers staying away from the job? So you, again, don't want to spread illness in handling food. And then do personnel wear clean outer garments, hair restraints, hair nets, and a minimal jewelry? Because, again, you don't want something falling in or a hair going into your meal. So that's why that's important. Okay, GLP. This is good laboratory processes or practices. It actually says practices, but kind of the same thing. All right, organization and personnel, quality assurance programs, facilities are adequate. Again, a lot of these are kind of reiterations of previous things, just in different settings. Equipment and reagents are stored well. You have reference items, test systems, documented standard operating procedures, performance studies, reporting result protocol, and record storage. So you need to record everything, basically. You need to make sure you have quality assurance again. You need to make sure you're maintaining the facilities. You have references. You test items. You test the systems. You study the performance, and you try to, nitpick where it could be improved or what should be stopped. All those things are good laboratory practices. Okay, foodborne illnesses and food safety. So this is like another chapter again. So infections such as Salmonella typhi, Shigellosis from Shigella, Listeriosis from Listeria monocytogenes. Salmonella typhi is going to be water with feces. Shigella is going to be sheep feces with the produce. Apples are an example where you could potentially get this. And then Listeria, that could be cantaloupe transport. There's no way to clean the cantaloupe because of the rough exterior. So you get contamination when you cut it with a knife, or there's dirt on the outside. That's where the Listeria is, and you contaminate the food, unfortunately, by that. Intoxications include staph from Staphylococcal aureus, meat or the nose making contact, getting into an open wound. Clostridium from Clostridium perfringens. This is the toxin-mediated infection. Or botulism is another Clostridium. This is from canning practices that are up to standard, basically. You get these endospores. You also have foodborne illness, so campylobacteriosis, jejunum from an infection. I don't have anything else there. E. coli O157H7. So this is an E. coli strain. The O is the lipopolysaccharide. H7 is the flagella. So O157H7. This is going to have the toxin of Shigella on it as well. You have an endotoxin here, the LPS. And you also have the Norwalk virus, but actually these aren't marked, so we don't have to worry about these, actually. They aren't marked in the slides at all. They don't have that stamp. Actually, I should go back and make sure. Okay, just that one I messed up on. Okay, let's talk about hazard analysis critical control points. So number one, you're going to assess the hazards. You're going to determine food safety hazards. Is there a chemical, biological, or physical hazard? Physical hazard would be like, are there pieces of glass or metal inside the food potentially in the batches that you're making? And then, of course, biological includes microbes. You identify preventive measures and you are going to apply them to control these hazards in step one. Step two, you're going to find critical control points. This is a point in a food manufacturing process where control can be applied. You're going to result in food safety hazard being prevented, eliminated, or reduced to an accepted level. An example of that would be cooking, reheating, chilling, product formation, thawing, receiving, or handling stages, just for some examples. Okay, you're going to set up the control procedures and standards for critical control points as step three. You're going to be looking at the critical limit, the maximum or minimum value of the critical control point at which the hazard is controlled, so it is prevented, eliminated, or reduced that hazard to an acceptable level. So again, an example would be like, oh, let's change pasteurization temperature in this specific range. That would be like a critical limit. So in between those two temperatures for pasteurization, you're trying to prevent, eliminate, or reduce the hazard. So that's what step three is all about. Step four will be the constant monitoring of the critical control points to ensure it's within that range that you set up, those critical limits. Now, step five, take corrective actions. Actions that need to be taken when a deviation from the established critical limit is detected. These ensure that no product is injurious to health because of the deviation. And then step six will be developing a record-keeping system to document HACCP. Again, HACCP is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. So you're going to have an HACCP plan, you're going to do hazard analysis, and records documenting. You're going to have these records that document monitoring, critical control points, critical limits, verification of activities, and any deviations, processing deviations, how you're dealing with that. Number 7 is to verify the system is working. Verification will ensure the HACCP plan is working as intended. The procedures for verification may include activities such as reviewing the HACCP plans, which may change, CCP records, so critical control point records, you might want to look at the time, the temperature, EC. Critical limits, you might want to edit, again, those ranges that you're trying to prevent, eliminate, or reduce the hazards at. And then microbial sampling and analysis is also at step 7, where you're verifying the system is working. Alrighty, that's all the quality control slides. Please do something nice for someone. Have a blessed Easter break if you celebrate Easter, and all these holy days. Hopefully they're times for you to get together with family and just reflect on everything. And best of luck on the exam as well. Have a good one.